Hello, y'all. Welcome on back to another resource by Creators Spicy Tea. I am Allie, and today we're going to go in depth on how to use Lightroom to edit our selfies. We're going to look at its auto masking features, some of the presets that are available. We're going to look at how to blur the background, the real basics like that. We're also going to look at how to edit one picture, copy those edits, and then mass paste them to your other pictures. Cuts me down time so much. Let's dive in. So we are skipping the step where you upload and then go into your photo, and we're going right into it here. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to crop. To crop, we're going to go to crop, hit it, and you have a lot of options here. You can manually move it about. If you have a specific aspect ratio you want, you're going to click there. You have your 1:1, 2:3, 3:4. You can change it from horizontal to portrait orientation, etc. Or you can always go back to custom and you can crop the photo exactly as you want it. Once you have it how you want it, you're going to hit done, and then you're going to hit the check mark. The next thing we're going to do is facial and body retouching, but we're not going to do that manually because that is a pain. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the preset features, which can be found here. Hit that preset, and that's going to take you likely here. We want to go to premium. You need to have a premium account to access this feature. We're going to go to premium, then we're going to go to adaptive portrait. Now you have all of these different options. Enhance, glamour, polish, gritty, what have you. Play with them. See what gets masked out and what you like. I always go for polished portrait because it masks out every single individual feature on your face and body. So I always click that because it gives me the most control. I hit the check mark, and then to edit the masks you just made, you're going to go to this button. And as you can see, all of our individual masks are here. Now you can edit and change everything that was individually masked. Let's look at quickly how to do that. What I always do is when you auto mask using the polished portrait feature, it masks your pupil and also your eye sclera, so the whites of your eye. Something it does with the whites of your eye is it brightens it by increasing the exposure. It looks fake to me, so I always need to change it. You're going to find exposure and all light control features here. Give those a click. I always turn that back down to 0. Now, if you see here, there's this awful thing in the way that I can't tolerate. Let's look at how to get rid of that. 3 dots, and we're going to turn off Show Always under Tool Overlay. Now, while you're in here, you can go through the masks and edit the individual features as you see fit. I always dehaze my eyes a bit and then make them a little bit bluer. It's just a part of my brand. And then let's look at how to blur the background. So in this same area, in the masking area, we're now going to make our own. We're going to go to this plus button, and we're going to hit select subject. Select subject. And as you can see here, it auto masked the subject of the picture. It does not have to be a person for it to do this. It is just going to use AI to detect what's in the foreground. So now that I have my subject, the foreground highlighted, I want to highlight the background so that I can make edits to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap the mask I just made twice, and then you're going to click duplicate and invert mask. Duplicate and invert. And as you can see here, it highlighted only the background. Although I'm noticing down here, it did seem to get a little bit of my foot. So everywhere that is red is masked. And as you can see, it's got red on my foot here. And I want to get rid of that. So let's look at how to do that. To make edits to a mask, you're going to go to this plus or minus button. You either add to it or you subtract from it. Right now we want to remove some, so we're subtracting from mask 1. And then I'm going to use a brush. If you look over here, your brush toolbar popped up. You have your brush size. We're going to keep it pretty small. You have the feather around your brush. We're going to keep it kind of tight. And you have the opacity of the brush, and I want it at 100% opacity. And then you're just going to paint on where you want that mask to be. There you go. And now click back to the top mask to make sure you got it. I did. We're good. So now we have masked out where we want. Let's look at making edits to the individual masks. We're going to pull up the light dashboard. Now, looking at the background, I want it to be pretty bright, so I'm going to raise the exposure just a bit. If you lower the exposure, it darkens. If you raise it, it gets brighter. I want to increase the contrast and increase the whites. I want it to be very, very bright. Then I'm going to go and increase the saturation because those color dots in the back I want to pop. You can find the saturation, the temperature change, and the tint change all right here in the color section. In the effects, you can change the texture, make it much more textured, or make it much less textured. You can make it a higher clarity or a lower one. You can dehaze it. And then in detail, which is what we're going to look at now, in detail is where you're going to find the tools to help you blur your background. So let's look at how to do that. Once we are opened to the detail menu, we're going to take our noise and we're going to take it all the way this way, and our sharpness, and we're going to take it all the way that way. And as you can see now, our background is completely blurred. Looking at the difference between the two, it's a blurred out background. You can adjust the blur by reducing these a bit. All right, that looks good. So this is one method to blur the background. In a few minutes, we're going to look at another method, but we're going to leave that there. Then the next step I always do is I go back to my foreground mask, my subject mask. I increase my contrast. I just make sure I get my color editing decent and my light editing decent here. Once you are satisfied with all of your masks, now it's time to go and do global editing. So we're going to hit the check mark here. Now, this is your global editing dashboard, and there's some awesome features here, so let's look at them. First, we're going to play with auto. If you click auto, it's going to automatically look at your picture and figure out what settings it thinks is best for it. So let's give it a try. Auto. According to it, this is what light and color settings are best. But let's undo that and play by ourselves by clicking this undo button. Let's look at light editing. You can play with all of these tools here to get it to how you want here. Another method of that is to use this curve button here at the top. To play with the curve, you just tap it and lift and lower to increase highlights and decrease blacks and shadows. Then let's look at color editing. Here you have your temperature, which makes the temperature of the picture either warmer or cooler, your tint towards the more purples or greens. If you are finding that you have too much redness in your skin, try lowering the tint very slightly towards the green and see if that balances it out. Then you have your vibrance, which just makes the colors pop a bit more, and your saturation, which saturates your colors. Now, let's look at that second method of blurring out your background. Starting with our image with our unblurred background, we're going to go to blur. And then we're going to hit blur amount. We're just going to crank it up and let AI process it. And there you go. AI processed the depth of the photo and blurred what it saw appropriate. As you can see, it blur going from this way. It started the blur going this way. So in this area isn't blurred, which isn't what I'm looking for in this photo, which is why I wanted to demonstrate both methods. So if I don't want this, I'm going to hit this X button. If you do, you hit this check. Now let's look at effects. Here, In effects, we have a ton of options. We have that texture, clarity, and dehaze we spoke about. We also have a vignette here, which is the shadowed corners. You can make them whitened corners as well. You can add a grain to the image, or you can go down to detail. You can sharpen the image. If you notice you have noise, and something I have found that really helps increase the quality of image is noise reduction. Even just a very small amount can help smooth out and depixelate your image. If I need it, I do a little bit of noise reduction. Now, if you do too much, your image is going to look uncanny valley. So very small amounts at a time to see what looks appropriate. Then, if we go down to optics, you can remove the chromatic aberration. I don't ever use it, but what I do use is enable lens correction. It's automatically going to detect what device you use, and it's going to correct the lens distortion. The final thing we're going to chat about in our dashboard, in the editing dashboard, is profiles. Here you have all of these different pre-made filters that you can click through. If you have some you find work for your images often, you can favorite them, such as these ones I've favorited here. If you don't want any of these, just click back to color, click X, and you're out. Then let's look at what healing can do. So healing is exactly what it sounds like. If you have a spot or something you don't want in your image, wipe over it, and it will do its best to remove it. You have options from remove to heal to clone. Now let's look at some more of the presets. To find the presets, we go here. There. Your recommended presets will be up here. Click through them. See if you like any of them. Some of them might be great. For example, that first one kind of works great for me, so I'm going to keep it. There are subtle options, strong options. You also have all of these premium options. Of course, if you're a premium account, you can even create your own presets and save them. All right, let's look at a quick before and after of what our image was. So this is what we were looking at before, and this is what we've finished up with. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm pretty happy with that difference. So now, let's say you have two images that are very, very similar, and you just edited one and you don't want to have to redo it again. How can you expedite that process? You can copy and paste your settings from one image to the next. Let's look at how to do that. To copy our settings, we're going to go to our three-dot menu, click it, and you're going to click Copy Settings. Hit Masking, hit Crop and Geometry, and if you have healing that you want to go from one picture to the next, click it. Anything that you want to go from this image you just did to the next image, hit these buttons, then hit OK. Settings are copied. Just flip to the next image and paste settings. It's going to take a minute. It will detect the people, it will detect the subject, and then it will paste the same settings in one click. All right, y'all. So that was the basic rundown of how to use Lightroom to edit selfies. You can obviously use these same techniques that we discussed to edit any photo with any subject matter. This is the program that I use to create all of my merch, all of my more art-focused pieces, and, just my everyday basic promotional selfies. I can't stress how much I love Lightroom and how much it has helped streamline and elevate my content. All right, y'all. I really hope this helped. This was Allie with Creator's Spicy Tea, and I hope you are staying safe, sane, and absolutely flourishing in this world of spicy adult content creation. Bye, y'all.